What if I told you that one act of obedience, one step of faith was all it took to split the sea in two? We often think of the parting of the Red Sea as a massive miracle done by God alone. And it was. But there's more to the story. The Red Sea didn't part the moment God gave the command. It parted after someone stepped forward, after someone believed. In this video, we dive in deep into Exodus to uncover how a single act of faith released one of the greatest miracles in history. Welcome to the channel, where we explore the power of Scripture and the hidden truths that still speak to us today. The crossing of the Red Sea is one of the most iconic events in the Bible. It's been taught in Sunday schools, shown in epic films, and told for generations. But have you ever stopped to ask what actually caused the waters to split? Was it just Moses lifting his staff? Or was there something more, something internal, like faith and obedience? Let us walk together through the book of Exodus and see how God partners with human faith to accomplish the impossible. In Exodus 14, the Israelites have just left Egypt after 400 years of slavery. God has performed miraculous plagues to force Pharaoh's hand. But now, the Israelites are stuck, trapped between the Red Sea in front of them and Pharaoh's army closing in from behind. Panic sets in. They cry out in fear, saying, "Was it because there were no graves in Egypt that you brought us to the desert to die?" They forgot the miracles. They forgot the promise. At this moment, they see no way forward. Then Moses speaks with boldness. He says, "Do not be afraid. Stand firm, and you will see the deliverance the Lord will bring you today. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still." But right after this, God says something surprising to Moses. "Why are you crying out to me? Tell the Israelites to move on." Wait, move on? Into what? Into the sea? Yes, this is a critical moment. Before the waters part, before the miracle happens, God asks for movement. He demands faith in action. Next, God tells Moses to raise your staff and stretch out your hand over the sea to divide the water so that the Israelites can go through on dry ground. Now imagine the scene. The water hasn't moved yet. There's no visible sign of change. Yet Moses lifts his staff, and the people begin to step forward toward the sea. This is the act of faith. This is the moment when heaven meets earth, when obedience triggers divine intervention. Hebrews 11:29 confirms it. By faith the people passed through the Red Sea as on dry land. Faith opened the path. After Moses stretches out his hand and the people move, the miracle happens. Exodus 14:21 says, "Then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. And all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land." Notice it wasn't instant. The wind blew all night. The miracle worked through time, not in a flash. God was already working the moment the faith was activated, but the full deliverance unfolded gradually. Sometimes our miracles look like progress, not explosions. By morning, the Israelites walked through with water standing like a wall on both sides. Imagine that, millions walking through a valley that had just been ocean. This was no illusion. This was God's raw power responding to human trust. Psalm 77:19 reflects this miracle. Your path led through the sea, your way through the mighty waters. Though your footprints were not seen, God made a way where there was no way. But he waited for their step of faith first. Once the Israelites safely reach the other side, the Egyptians pursue. But God is not done. Exodus 14:26-28 says, "Moses, again, stretches out his hand, and the sea returns to its place, drowning the Egyptian army." What began as a step of faith ended in a complete and final victory. The same sea that looked like a death trap became a passage to freedom for those who believed in, a grave for those who didn't. So what can we take from this story? First, faith often requires us to move before we see the result. God doesn't always part the waters in advance. Sometimes, we have to raise our hand and step forward into uncertainty. Second, obedience activates divine power. The sea didn't part when Moses prayed. It parted when he obeyed. Third, miracles often come in stages. The wind blew all night. The dry land formed gradually. Faith is a process, not a lightning strike. But God is faithful. He's working behind the scenes the moment we act on his word. So how did a single act of faith part the Red Sea? Because it wasn't just about Moses' hand or Israel's footsteps. It was about trust. Trust that when God says move, he will meet you in the middle. Trust that the impossible becomes possible when we take him at his word. The Red Sea may look different in your life today: a broken relationship, a financial crisis, a fear that holds you back. But the same God who split the sea for Israel can make a way for you. All he asks is that you believe and move. If this message encouraged you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. What's your Red Sea moment, and how are you stepping forward in faith? Let's walk in faith together. See you in the next video.